Hi, Emily.
Hi Garth,
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're here for our class for emerging tech. Um, and so we want to start a little bit and do a little conversation about the website we're building and the tool we're going to look into. And we decided to look into the tool of Emoto. And Emily, you were the first one that was interested in this. So tell me a little bit about why you thought this would be worth looking into and what was valuable about it.
Yeah, so I have never actually used Edmodo in my classroom, but I've seen it used in a lot of other classrooms, and I thought it was something that I might want to use in mine. So I thought the more research I did on it, the more knowledgeable I would be when I implement it in my classroom. So um, basically, Edmodo is just a social learning network for students. Um, Teachers can create groups of their classes on Edmodo, and they can invite their students to join.
Yeah, and so you, again, mentioning you saw other teachers using this, so it kind of piqued your interest. I've played with it a
Absolutely.
couple of times. I've used it for conferences. I haven't used it a ton, but there's some interesting features. So, we can access this obviously at emoto.com. So I'll pull that up on my end while we're kind of talking. So you just go to emoto.com and you create an account. It's a free account. That's one of the big pluses of this. It's totally free.
Yeah, and another great part is when you sign up, you have to verify that you're a teacher. So you have to put in, like I uploaded my license, a photocopy of my teaching license and the license number. So not really anybody can join Edmodo. So it's pretty safe for students to join as well.
Yeah, that's a big thing they talk about is the safety and the security of the system. So
Right.
the other question she wanted us to talk about or to think about in this introduction was a little bit about how it can meet the needs of like a diverse and accessibility for all kinds of students, for all of our students. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Right. I know your school is a little different than mine in that your students are one-to-one. My students, we have two carts of Google Chromebooks, and the site can be accessed on any laptop. It also has an app for smartphone devices, both Android and Apple devices. And like we said, it is just edmodo.com. It's a free site, so you log on very easily that way.
Yeah, and I think that the way the system's set up and what you can do, I'm looking at the version I used in my couple presentations. It just makes information accessible to everybody, like you mentioned, but it also gives you quizzes and all kinds of ways you can help kids find the information they might need. It's a lot like Facebook, so you can have these conversations and people can react and respond. So it just engages all different types of learners. So it's a pretty unique piece of software.
Yeah, so like you were saying, all different types of learners. I think that Edmodo has some great features that we've seen as for differentiation. You can group students within a class, which you can group them any way you would like. Maybe like some higher students all together and give them a certain assignment and post that for them, or just creating different groups is a really key feature in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, that is a nice feature, being able to differentiate inside the program to give different groups of kids different assignments, which is kind of unique.
Right.
Well, the other thing that we were going to do is we're kind of building the video here as well. And instead of making a movie, just having a conversation between two educators about how we might use this. So I think we've talked about quite a few of the basic features. I'm kind of pulling it up a little bit bigger here where they can
Right.
kind of see some of the stuff as we talk about it. But you have the alerts, which is basically like an announcement. It sends out your announcement. You have the ability to build assignments directly in Emodo and have them be in there. That is also, if I'm not mistaken, I've never used that feature, but that can then be tied to your grade book, so it automatically imports grades directly to your grade book, right?
Right, and also I want to say about the alerts, those can be pushed to their smartphone as well, so they can get an alert for like an upcoming due date on their if the student has a smartphone device.
So it's kind of like Reminder 101 without the extra step
Right,
of actually having to type the message.
right,
So it cuts out a step. That's good.
right, right.
It's got the quiz maker in here. I did use that for all the conferences I've been in. When I present, I've been to 3 or 4 conferences where they use Emoto for just maintaining everybody. There's Emoto groups for whatever conference or whatever session you're going to. And I've used it for feedback after presentations, just to have people give me some kind of feedback right then and there. It also has the poll option. And again, that quiz goes directly to your gradebook, right?
Well, and I found the students really love the polls. Like, you can start them off at the beginning of the year, with something silly. What's your favorite season? Or, just start them off with something silly. But I found the students really love the polls
Yeah,
features.
right. And I'm clicked on poll right now, and you go to type your question. You got to answer 1 and 2, and you can keep adding questions, and you just make it. It becomes up on the page. So
Right. So, and then the last one, snapshot. That's a new feature where it will you can post like a quiz question, and the students will respond, and teachers can get that feedback right away. So it can be used as a formative assessment tool, and like Edmodo suggested as maybe like an exit ticket, like having them do a snapshot question as an exit ticket.
All right, so I just pulled that up, so it kind of gives a little take a tour that you can walk through that shows you that. And while you were talking about that, I built a quick poll. Do they like our show so far? Yes, no, or not sure. So we'll see if anybody. Well, nobody's going to get into this one, but yes, of course, we'll vote yes. So that one's pretty easy, but it's pretty easy. There's a calendar over to the right where you can plan and build things out. You have app launchers. Now, I wasn't a big fan. I looked at these app launchers. They're all, as you click into them right now, there's only 3 that are showing up in mine. I thought there was 4 or 5 in the other one I was looking at, but
I think some of those are paid.
Right.
Most of the features that we're showing you are paid, but then when you come in the app launcher is where you find some things that you will pay for.
And then over to your right is the actual group you're in. So on this one, it was fun formative assessment. It was the group that I created for this. The posts you're building, you can folders, and then the members, however many people join the class, and you can divide those like you were talking about. The alarm feature, do you know much about it up at the top by the icon?
The alarm feature, I believe, is like a Facebook notification.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody, or like we use on Springboard as well. If somebody like comments on your post, or if you get like a grade, it'll alert you.
So you get the little on Springboard, you get the little red dot or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then over to your right, you got your home page, a progress page, a discovery page, and the library. The library page, I assume, is where you can upload a variety of resources that are accessible to all the kids wherever they want.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great feature. So all your content can be in one place, and so you can post videos, notes, assignments, and it will all be there for students and for parents if parents want to log on and see what's up. So, but like more specifically to 7th grade social studies, how do you think like we could use this in our particular content area?
Well, I've talked about using this, I think, for 2 or 3 years. I'm going to kind of pull up while I'm talking the website I use in my classroom. And I've talked to quite a few people on Twitter about the differences between what I'm using. So, you look at it, I've got web quests and a variety of things built up here. And I'm using Google Docs a lot, which can you embed the Google Docs into a Modo, or is it just a link? Do you know that?
I can't answer you in a positive either way.
Yeah, so that would be something I'd look into. But what I see is there's more power inside this. I've always liked the idea of the combined website and blog, and then kids building off that. But there is more power to be able to do a variety of things in one place. My concern, which I've always backed away from something like a Modo or Schoolology or any of them, was the idea that it's kind of closed, which is that security thing we brought up at the beginning. A lot of people really like that. I, on the other hand, am a big fan of like totally opened source. So whatever we're doing, anybody can see it. I think that's power. But I've talked to quite a few people about this and looked at how people are using it. And there is a lot of power you can build into this and really run your entire class from this website.
Right.
And that's pretty unique. So,
right.
But I do think that it can meet the needs of your kids. I like the grouping where you can divide the kids into different sections so they're reading different assignment tasks. And once you build those in here, my assumption is those will be there next year that you can pull from again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I can see a lot of different assignments with the library built in and those kind of things. You could build your web quest directly on here. You could build a variety of things directly inside this software and make it pretty easy. And the polls, I think, is fun. They're much quicker than building, like you mentioned. They're much quicker than building on like my website that I'm using. It's a little bit trickier to do that.
Yeah. I mean, like I see like my kids, like, you know, like, which Mongol leader did you think was like the, you know, who do you think was the most powerful Mongol leader, and have them like vote on that or something, like, you know, like when they get home, hey, check Edmodo tonight, like there's going to be a poll up that you need to answer. Even something like that.
I do like that. Like you said, you've got the alerts that'll push it to their phone, so it can be something you don't even mention in class, and then
Right.
you push it out and just have the kids vote, and then they come in the next day, and now you have an automatic discussion starter. Well, here's what the
Right.
poll says. Why do we
Right.
think this? Which could become a great written assignment where kids are writing, justifying their arguments. You could have debates with it. So there's a lot you can build right off of it. That's kind of unique.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, when you look at it, the idea, I mean, we've talked about a lot of the questions she's asking already, but that idea that it's accessible anywhere and you've got apps on your cell phone, so the kid could be at the doctor's office waiting for, you know, whatever it may be, and could be doing homework. It's pretty unique
Right.
that it's, as we looked at in the class, the mobile technology, they can take this anywhere they want.
Right. Right. Um, as far as strategies and tips, I would say coming in with a clear plan, not just saying, hey, they explained Edmodo, it sounds like a great tool, like I'm going to implement. I think coming in and setting like objectives and really having a plan for what you want out of it would be very helpful before like implementing it in your classroom.
Well, and I think the other thing would be, it might be a real wise thing to start with like the polls and to just do some announcements and maybe start to use the calendar, and as you move, progress into things. Okay, now I think I'm going to try using the note feature. I think I'm going to try using the assignment feature at one point. Kind of like baby steps, getting your feet wet and getting into it. The other big thing I think is the plus we've mentioned multiple times is this is free. You look at a Springboard, you look at a Blackboard, you're paying $10, $12 a kid for access to something that's virtually free. And in this way, you compare this to a Blackboard or a Springboard, this is way better, much more user friendly. Kids are going to be much right. Kids are going to be way more engaged than a Springboard or a Blackboard. So that's probably, of all the things, that's the biggest feature. It's free and it's engaging to kids. I think I can see kids going home to see what other kids have responded to something that was said.
Well,
they would look.
And then like I think about this past winter and like all the like cold and snow days we had. Like this is a great way to still be connected with them and still be, you know, pushing them content, like even when they're not in the classroom or haven't been there for a couple of days.
Yeah, I totally agree. You've just got a lot of potential with this. The only other one, have you looked at Schoolology?
No, and I haven't. You said you have some experience with Schoolology.
Well, I had looked a lot with. It was last year. I was doing some presentations, and I got kind of interested in this stuff, and was looking at Schoolology, and it seemed that they kind of pushed Schoolology more for the upper level, and Emoto was more of a lower level, meaning like more. This might be more elementary, middle school, or if you're in high school, you might want to look at Schoolology. It's a little bit, you know, I guess I don't know how to describe it other than most people would say that's more of the high school version of Emoto, but it's very, very similar.
Yeah, and I would feel comfortable presenting this. You know, I've subbed before, and I've been in a lot of different classrooms. I think like second or third graders, like, you know, with some practice, like they could do this.
Oh yeah.
It's so user friendly.
Well, and that's the ultimate goal of the tech. If it's, you know, that's one thing I've, like on Springboard, you go to put something in the Dropbox, it's 4 steps. You know, that, and with kids, when we were using Blackboard, I tried to use Blackboard for just a year, but I got so angry because kids would submit things, but they wouldn't go through all 4 or 5 steps. So it would never truly get submitted. And it created a headache for me, where I think this, you had mentioned, is seamlessly integrated with Dropbox and other things. There's just so much you can do with it. And it's really a one-stop shop. It kind of gives you everything that you might go to multiple places to try to do. You've got your assignment builder in it. You've got your alerts. You've got quizzes. You've got polls. You've pretty much got everything built in. You've got your calendar. It's kind of like Google is to search as this is to, you know, the learning management system. It's kind of got it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just as far as like a social studies teacher, like one of like a great thing for me, like a great reason for me to use this is it teaches, digital citizenship, but it's in like a contained environment. So, before the kids, before they run wild on the internet, they learn appropriate behavior, how to talk, and how to interact and how not to put people down. And so I think that's another huge bonus of it is,
Yeah, I think that that's maybe one of the biggest skills we have to teach kids is the information is not it's not hidden anymore. They can find it
right,
with the Google search. The question is how do you interact in that space? So digital citizenship probably becomes everybody's responsibility, every teacher's responsibility, kind of like reading is now. It's all of our responsibility to teach our kids how to interact with the power that they have at their fingertips.
right,
And more the mobile power they have at their fingertips. So,
right.
well, is there anything else you want to say about this? I think we've covered
I
most
think
of her
we've hit
questions.
it all. We hit all the great features of it, and especially the ones that we like. No, I hope this was informative and people found it somewhat interesting.
Yeah. Well, it was I enjoyed getting to chat with you, and hopefully
Yeah,
we can work in the future. We've kind of
yeah. Thank you.
something else we've talked about is maybe we'll try to do some collaborative projects this year using some of the tech we've looked at. So we'll see if that plays out, and if so, we'll have to post it somewhere so everybody can see
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Uh-huh.